Hello and welcome to the Meet the Makerspace. My name is Marc Pettersen here at the East Hartford Public Library. Today I'm going to be showing you a short tutorial on an easy piece of software called TinkerCad. Now TinkerCad is a program that you do not have to download, but you can use this at home. You just log on to the web page and create an account. This is a free software and you can create your first 3D model with it. Now if you look at it here, this is the website, tinkercad.com. If you scroll down, there are some different things that kind of explain what you can do with this. So definitely feel free to scroll through here. And there are some other tutorials beyond what I'm going to show you today. So once you actually create an account, this is the screen. Some of the basic functions: if you have a mouse and you have the middle track, you basically track in and out to zoom. If you hold down that middle mouse, you can pan back and forth. And if you hold the right mouse button, you can kind of go around the space. So that's the first thing, is trying to actually figure out how to navigate the space when you're modeling something. Also, if you look over here on the left, there are different things. I can click back, I can click the side, and I can go around the object. So if you look on here, I've already started to create something, creating a flamingo. So going off of this flamingo, everything in TinkerCAD essentially is shapes. So you need to look at the different shapes. So for the neck, what I'm doing is taking a cylinder and then just putting that together to create that. This will be more like a cone, circle, and another circle here. So let's start this. So the first thing I want to do is create the cone. So I'm going to just click here, and that will bring it into the scene. Now again, this is where the moving around is very important, to master moving around and seeing what the object is. Now, all right, now what I want to do with this is I want to rotate that. Now there are different things on the object here. These little white boxes are to scale. So if I was to move this, it would scale out and around. Now, if I was to do the same thing but hold down Shift, the whole thing would scale uniformly. So that's important. So hold down Shift and that'll be uniform. Okay. Now to rotate that, you'll see a rotate thing here. If I rotate it within these lines, it'll rotate at bigger increments. If I pull out the cursor, it'll rotate at smaller increments. So let's say I want that at 90 degrees. Right there, so that's at 90 degrees. Now to move this around, there are a couple of things you can do to move this around. There is a little black arrow here. If you hold that, that'll move it up and down. If you use your keypad and go left, and move left or right, and up and down will move it back and forth. The only way, again, to move up and down is that little arrow. That arrow went down here, if you see. Okay. Also, it snaps to grids, and what that means is that it moves at increments. If you look down here on the bottom right, the snap grid is at 1 millimeter. If I was to turn this off, when I move it, it moves a lot slower, so it's not snapping to that 1 millimeter grid. So it's good to have that on sometimes, but sometimes you want to move it a little less than 1 millimeter. So I'm going to put that back on there. Alright, so first thing I want to do is take this and make it more beaky, something like that. Okay. Now if you look off to the side, now it's a little bit more flattened. And that's okay. I'm going to bring this in a little bit this way. Alright, so I have that. Go back to the reference image. It's always good to come up with a reference image. So I'm going to turn that a bit. Let's see, I'm going to turn that just so it's the same as this here. Okay. And then what I would say is, let's bring a sphere in. Now, one of the things, when you're bringing in an object, You got to be careful not to, like, say, place it there, because now when I look down, it's way off in the distance. Okay, so to place it in there a different way, so it doesn't kind of disappear on you, if you look straight down, it's a lot easier that way. There we go. Alright, so now I'm going to move this up, go back to the reference image. I think this is going to be, oops. Okay, I'm going to move this left. Right. Now, if you do something that doesn't quite work and you want to undo, you can either press Control Z, or on the top left here, there's an undo or a redo. Oh, really quick, also note, this is the name of the file. It comes out with some kind of weird name. So I'm going to rename that as Flamingo. There. The name of the file. That way, when it saves, I'll know exactly where it is. Okay. Back to this now. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. Bring that to there. I'm going to look over here. So I've got that. I've got that. Now what I need is the connector part. Okay. Let's say I have that there. I'm going to move this over a little bit. Move this up. Alright, so I think what I'll use, now there's a lot of different shapes here. On the right is all shapes, and if you scroll down here, there's a bunch of other things in here, but I think for this one all I need is the shapes. So I'm going to bring that in here. I'm going to hold Shift, scale that a little bit. I'm actually going to bring this up a little bit. Again, every time you scale it, you need to place the cursor on these white squares. Okay, now, let's see. Again, with the left arrow, I can bring that over. I find it easier doing that than moving it with the cursor, because sometimes it just goes off in some weird direction that you don't want. So, alright, so move that over a bit. I think I'm going to need to, there we go. So we are starting to get our flamingo. It's a little blocky, but there are different things you can do with this. Okay. I feel like this head should be a little bit bigger. Again, I'm going to do Shift so it scales uniformly. That's a start. That is definitely a start. Now let's go back to here. Let's say for now, I'm going to go up here and change the color to black. I'm going to do this color. Now, it doesn't really matter what color you change these to, because when we 3D print these out, they are it's all going to be one color. But if you want to create kind of a fun little thing to bring into a different project, maybe something for an animation or just for a picture, you know, play around with the colors. Okay, so bring that in a little bit. Okay, that's better. Okay, we're starting to get it right there. Back to the reference image. Now the eye, I'm going to make more of a cartoony eye. So I'm going to bring the sphere in here. Bring it up. Definitely scale that down quite a bit. Oh. Select it from that one there. I'm going to change that to white. Okay, there we go. Bring that up again, that black arrow there. Let's bring this over. And again, right there. It's kind of looking like a flamingo. Now, if you notice for the neck, you've got this windy neck here. What I did for that was I put together a bunch of tubes. Now, if you want to, you can actually connect shapes together. So I would take and make a box around those shapes, and you go up here. If you look on the top right, top right, This is to group it together. This one here is to ungroup it. So if I hit group, that creates one shape. Now I can move this around and it's actually one shape. Now if I was to group all of this together, it's going to change to one color, just to let you know. Okay, so let's bring this over. Okay, there we go. Bring this over here. It's pretty good, I think. Bring this up a little bit. Okay. I'm going to rotate these. Now, these are not connected, but if I select both at the same time, hold shift and actually select all these, I can rotate all these together. And again, you need to look for that this little thing to rotate. Okay, so I'm going to put them about right there. That's good. Rotate's good. Oops. Okay, I'm going to move them over. Okay, so we got the beginning of it. Now, I want to duplicate this eye, so I'm going to select the eye. I'm going to go Control C, that's to copy, and Control V is to paste. I'm going to use the right arrow to move it over. And now I have the other eye. Now the other thing that you can do, so far I don't really need to do this, but I'm going to show you it. You can actually take and add group shapes together to actually create a whole. If you look over here again on the right, so you see the boxes with color, those are shapes, and the boxes with these stripes, those are a whole. So essentially, if I was to take this shape here, bring it in, and move that around. Now that is overlapping. Actually, maybe I'll bring it over here. That's overlapping that. I think. There it is. Now it's overlapping it. Oh. Okay. See, now it went way off, so I'm going to do Control Z to bring it back. So that kind of went haywire a little bit. Alright, again, I'm going to do that. Alright, so now, if you see this shape is intersecting this shape, I'm going to take and put a box around that, so it selects both this shape, which was put together already, and this shape. I'm going to hit the group button, and now cut a hole out of that. And a little bit curved hole because that was a cylinder. So that gives you an idea of something else that you can do with that. Now I just undid that. I'm going to delete that because I don't need that for now. Now I'm going to bring another sphere in for the body. I'm going to elongate that a little bit. And let's see. Actually, oh, see, again, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you need to change the view so that it doesn't go off into space like that, into nowhere's land. Okay. This down. Let's go back to the reference image. And I'm obviously not trying to make it look exactly like that. I'm just using it as a reference image and kind of taking my creative liberties of how I want it to look. I'm going to see where that intersects. So kind of on the bottom, so that I want to do that. And I want to have that on the bottom. Okay, so then this probably needs to rotate. There we go. That's better. So if I bring this over, I think that works a little bit better. Bring it down a little bit. I think that makes sense now. There we go. Okay. Cool. I'm liking this. Okay. The tail. Let's see, what should we use for the tail? What do we have over here? Well, we can use the cone again. I think the cone will work out perfectly. Rotate that. That down to there. Let's bring this over this way. So it takes time to create some fun designs, but you just need to look at the shapes and figure out how that works. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of fun. starting to take shape a little bit more. I think that's pretty good right there. Cracky. Cracky. Okay, so I have grouped all the parts of the flamingo together. It's important to take a look to make sure all the pieces are connected and that there's no general spaces in between certain parts of it, because when that prints out, if there's a big space, then it might break off easily. So that looks pretty good. All right, so at this point, I want to export that. So if you go up to the top right where it says export, I'm going to export that as an STL file. There's a couple different types of files that you can use to print. It can be an OBJ or it can be an STL, and there are a few different ones, but those are generally the two that we use. Thank you for watching. In the next video, I'll be going over the basics of the 3D printers.